sounds in my room. I'm going to sleep some of it, but I'm going to talk just a little bit, and then when I wake up, I'll talk. That's how I've been doing it so far. It for me, this way you guys can hear the different sounds. There was a video that I listed where you can hear complete conversations, complete different noises and clicks and pops. It's like in my bedroom. It's like my bedroom is being turned into their world. Like they said, Shamega's ecosystem. It's as though they turned my bedroom into their little world where they have this whole fantasy world going on around me. And that's partially why they had to isolate me, because if I don't fit into their fantasy world, they're going to try to make me. They said in their minds, I'm not generous enough, I don't give enough. Yet over the years they've thanked me for what I've given. So I'm finding that they seem to have a completely different way of looking at things now that decades have passed. So it's as though they've rewritten history that at the time kept. I kept that history partially because of this, but also because if someone thanks you for something at the time and they appreciate it, you don't think that decades later they're going to twist things and make you into a bad person. Part of what I feel, they said, because someone's watching them. That's what they just said. I want to answer that person. I think it's more than they're being watched. I think that the memory isn't supposed to be this way. Your human memory isn't supposed to keep going over the past over and over and over and over again. So the more you go over a story, it changes. So if I didn't have the actual paperwork, someone said, there it is. If I didn't have the actual paperwork, the memory would have been, I was this horrible, well, they already said this. I won't bring up this horrible thing that they falsely accused me of out loud to embarrass and publicly humiliate me. The underwear part, because I don't change my underwear a lot, because I can barely do anything without them commenting on it. So I cover myself. I go into like a little dark area where there's nothing that can video me, or they're able to see me in here. I don't know how, but I pull my shirt over my private area. Even when I go to the ladies' room, I do everything to kind of keep things hidden. And at one point, they lied and said that on Twitter, when I was on Twitter, this was a while ago, they used to have like things come up on my screen. They could do it because they hacked my phone. And they were like, that's a picture of somebody's personal area. And I'm like, I've never seen anyone else's personal area. And that's the whole point. Like, this is how this was supposed to work. This was supposed to be like a threat to me. They said just now, didn't you see someone's personal area? No, like that's part of the mind game. And I want to I know I'm going off topic, but I really want to talk about this now that we have them telling us, this is part of it. They tell me I talk too much, but they gave away their whole entire scam, which I'm happy for. I'm not going to complain. But what they were doing was showing personal areas of people and then saying that isn't that so-and-so's personal area, which I had never seen before. I've never seen someone else's personal area like that, and you guys can guess what I mean. I'm not going to say it exactly, because I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this an anti-people thing, because this is part of the hate. Anyway, I've never seen that kind of personal area, but I would recognize my own personal area, you know what I mean? And it wasn't that. But then they threatened me at one point that they're going to film my personal area and put it online. So then it's like that becomes something else I would have to be worried about. So this was going to combine all of these fake issues with true issues, you know what I mean? So a fake issue was like, people would think I did something wrong, which they know that I didn't. But a real issue is now they're going to photograph my personal area and put it online, and not with my face, but they would know that that's my personal area. If I see it and they put it on the screen, I would know that's my personal area. It just became a way of trying to make me crazy. And any woman out there knows what I mean. For men, I'm not going to speak on behalf of men, but I'm just going to say what I think. For men, I don't think it would make them as insane as it would a woman. That's so personal for us. And someone just said, something that I'm right about that. I think if you're a woman out there and you're talking to me this way, I can't stand it. I don't want it to happen. I want to make it stop. But I think if you can relate to anything in terms of my humanity, you can relate to how completely personal that area is for us. And if anyone threatens to take a picture of it and put it online, how it's beyond public humiliation. Okay, so going back to what we were talking about before, that side conversation. So I don't even want to take off my clothes. You see in the videos, I don't change my clothes a lot. I don't even want to take off my clothes. I don't want to give them any opportunity to film anything. But as I'm doing things in my apartment, they can say what I'm doing. Like if I'm using a lot of toilet paper, they could say, you use so much toilet paper. It's that they just said invasive. I wasn't going to say that. It's that sickening. It's that sick mentality. It takes a certain type of person that would film someone else's personal area and put it online to hurt them. Like, it's just like, who thinks of this? Who does this? So they lied again and said, they're trying to say that this started with me and them back when I was in college. But then they lied and said it started for me when I was a little girl. They said they thought I lied about not being able to see these images in my head. I am not lying about that. I'm sleeping. And someone did a really good video. And in the video, he talks about when you're sleeping in that sort of light REM sleep and your eyes are moving around, people can guess what you're seeing. And without each party knowing, it's completely separate. They could say, did you see such and such? And or that you could say to the person, what did you see? And it will match. Meaning there is a way, and I don't know all the details, of you being able to see something and someone else knows what you saw. I'm telling you a completely different thing. There is a way to create I think it's hypnosis, but there's a way of creating that through hypnosis or through these noises and sounds. So is it that you are making that person see it, or are you using some sort of hypnotic talking where if you expose someone's head to enough, they say it's electricity, but electricity doesn't work the same way radiation does. Radio waves, radio frequencies, microwaves, in order to provide such heat. So at the time when in 2019, when they were doing this, the amount of heat that they caused me made my clothes wet. Not when you sweat wet, like when your body feels like it's going through some sort of, someone just said medical issue. It's so much perspiration that it can't just be perspiration. I think it's a level of cooling system, meaning excessive heat that's not just caused by, they called it at one point a heat lamp. No, it's beyond a heat lamp. It's something that causes heat in the room. So if I used to do videos where I would tell you guys the temperature in the room and it was like 80 something and it was still winter, that. So it's beyond just the physical body feeling heat. The surrounding area feels hot. And that's what they did. So you wake up and you're in this crazy mindset. It literally felt like I was crazy. And when I recorded the first weird sounds, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm sleeping. Like, I'm still like a regular New Yorker. Like, don't you guys see I'm sleeping here? Thinking it's like, what are you doing? But that was it. That was what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be done while you're sleeping. Because at one time I was sitting around and I felt something. They said, move, move, move. And I'm like, you can't tell me what to do in my home. That's when I thought this would stop. Of course it doesn't. And when you're awake, if it gets too uncomfortably hot, you can move. But when you're sleeping, you can't. So they know it's not being done in that light stage of sleep, because you would just wake up and move away. It has to be done when you're really sleeping. And it's the combination of that extreme heat and the sounds and the talking. And they keep saying, oh, they just said it's not me that they're talking to now. They're talking to each other. At one point, I also did a video where I put it online where they would, and I told you they're communicating with each other, which is why I'm saying, like, since when is this happening? Since when is this happening? Where people can just talk and put the sounds in someone else's home and call them names to get them upset, heat them, and abuse them, and then say sorry. When did this start? The last point I want to make before I, try to sleep is that when they're talking, they're upset that I'm now in AI, and they realize not only am I in AI, but my full name, Shamega Johnson, is now showing up in AI, and they're really upset. They said they're really jealous of that because this wasn't supposed to give me more attention. Then why use me? It's like, I feel like at one point I said in a video, and I played it back, but I couldn't tell what they were referring to. I said, maybe I'm the only one not getting it. And maybe that's what they want me to feel, like I'm in a world where I don't belong. I don't get things. I don't know things. And that's how I do feel, meaning what was the goal? What did they want to do to me? They wanted me to feel like I don't belong. There's something wrong with me. There's something I'm not grasping, and that I would need them to explain it to me. So part of this coaching gently thing, to quote them, was that they were going to always have to coach me because I don't know what's going on. But then when I hear other people talking and saying the same things I'm saying, then maybe it's that they don't belong. And maybe someone said we don't belong together. Or maybe even bigger is they just referred to a song, and that's part of us. I want to keep this short because I'm not really feeling great, but that's part of what I'm saying they tend to do. They tend to relate things to songs, not in a normal way, but like in a strange way. Saying that we don't belong together doesn't automatically link to a song. They say I usually do that. I don't usually do that, but if I do it, it's like a song lyric. Like, haven't you guys ever done something where you're talking to someone and you start talking about something? Usually it's when you're talking to someone, and then all of a sudden a really unique song lyric matches that conversation. It's not like like a commonly used phrase where you say, oh, we don't really get along, we don't belong together, something that's so commonly used. But for them, that would become a song. Whereas when I'm doing it, or when someone I'm talking to does it, it's like something that's so weird that you're like, oh, wait, that's like the song lyric, like that. But if you do it on every sentence, then it wouldn't work. That's what I'm saying. Like, something in me doesn't get it, or either something in them doesn't get it. If you had to do that for every single sentence, that joke would no longer work. It only works when it's that moment. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't get those moments when you're with them or with this system, because those moments are taken up by a completely different energy, completely different feel. So, what else was I going to say? There was something else I wanted to say, but I think I forgot part of it. But I think the whole point of this is that it shouldn't be done. If this is being done to other people, it shouldn't be done. I'm telling you why it shouldn't be done. I'm showing you in the videos the effect it has, why the inflammation occurred because my body was subjected to something, and it caused my face to swell. And the first time it happened in 2019, I filmed it. I didn't do these types of conversation videos, and then they got me on that. They were like, yes, you did in 2019. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But that would be the arguing thought. how the argument was going to occur. It was going to be me constantly arguing in a room by myself, and they could then say, she's nuts. She's just sitting around arguing with the walls. And, that's partly what went wrong with this whole system. It wasn't me talking to myself. I wasn't involved in the people doing this. I wasn't, they just said with, I wasn't involved. That's what I'm saying. Like, that wouldn't be my mind. Like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't continue the conversation and interrupt myself to correct myself. That's part of why it's so important to me to show that people should not be, this, people shouldn't be put into a category of mental illness when it's clearly not a mental illness. The other big deal about that is, how can people do that to people? I don't get it. I don't get any of this. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how this would look like mental illness. I don't get why people would try to make it seem like people are mentally ill. I don't get why anyone would continue to talk. They said I insulted celebrities, when I don't know if these were real celebrities. Like, they do voice cloning. They impersonate people. And that's part of what I was saying when this first started. They were just throwing celebrity names out. I'm like, you're right. This isn't really so-and-so. And I don't think it really was. But for someone, they said they thought I would be overly impressed with celebrities. That's what I mean. That's how they think. So the thought is that they wanted to seem like they know me, they can impersonate me, they can think for me, they can say what I'm thinking. They said it's kind of like when, like, you see like an animal video and you say that animal must be thinking such and such. That's what they were trying to do with me. So I'm going to let you guys listen. I'm trying to get some sleep, and let's see what kind of sounds we hear. So I just woke up. They're talking about the same stuff that I've said they talked about before. When they were talking about it being out loud and everyone can hear it, they said, well, see, you thought it was just about you. Maybe it was about someone else, which is their way of admitting they messed up again because they kept yelling my name. There's a video I did probably last year. I can't remember when, but it was last year. And they yelled my name so loud that they kept saying, find the video, meaning there's some reason why they can't find it. They said because they're in prison and they can't find it, but then they said prisoners are watching. So they're trying to still bring these things up to make me, to play the mind game. So part of the mind game isn't just the noise and trying to get me paranoid and make me look mentally ill. It's someone just said guilt. It's more than guilt. There's something that, and it goes back to this whole issue. And I'm trying to find exactly what the word would be, but it's more the feeling. The feeling is maybe by saying that they're in prison and then bringing up the same issues and then saying it's not really happening, but then saying it's happening to everyone. And then maybe it's their way of making me trust them more than myself. Do you get what I mean? Like, well, they seem to know stuff I don't know. Yet they're the things that I do know they're trying to say didn't happened. Yet they know more stuff. So it's always this idea, and it goes back to what this technology was supposed to be originally. It's supposed to not just be synthetic telepathy, but the idea that sometimes they'll help you. And what I'm saying is that how would I know when they would help me versus when what they ended up doing hurt me? I wouldn't. So would I ever trust anything they say? No. It's not, for me, it's not even a question of they may be able to help me. After they hurt me this way and try to do all of this and then publicly humiliate me, then try to change it to, well, we're talking about other people too. That's what it was. Okay, here's what I'm saying. Originally, they weren't talking about other people. And that's the point. Every time they try to cover it up, they add more things to it to confuse everything. When I said this was happening originally, they weren't talking. I wasn't getting like information about other things, and that's that. And I can prove that only by the way this started. And I recorded it in 2019. It didn't start out about this is one is having this happen and that one. No, if it had started out like that, that would be what I would have said. It started out with them with these strange noises at night. Then it was talking, and then it was falling. It didn't get into other people. So one thing they said, and right now they said they're trying to point out any they said it sounded like they said indiscrepancies, but they're trying to say that if there's a little something that I'm not getting right, then they will point it out. That's not what this was supposed to be. The whole thing wasn't supposed to be we're following you to annoy you and point things out to you. That was never what they even admitted they were doing. They never admitted that was what they were doing until I said they were doing it. There's a video where a guy yells when I'm in the street, none of us are going away, something like that. And I turned and I corrected him. They made a big deal. You corrected our grammar. They corrected my grammar in a video before that. And I proved it because I had the video. So just now that was a female voice that said, oh, we're pointing out indiscrepancies or any little discrepancies. That goes to show that this wasn't what this was supposed to be. It didn't start out that way. And this is partly what I'm saying. There's something in them that keeps switching things up, changing things, and that's how you know it's not in my head. But that's also how you know this was done to sabotage me. It was done to make me look mentally ill. It was done to hurt me. It's not being done to help me. And when you get them to admit that, that's when you know that something in this program is not right. For people to walk around and try to point out mistakes you've made, point out problems that they have with you, you know it's about trying to get you upset, trying to annoy you, trying to make you look mentally ill. You know it's no longer about coaching gently, to quote them. It's no longer about someone just said now, that means I didn't do the wrong thing. Exactly. You know it's not about me. It's about them needing to feel superior. There's a great News Nation report where a man says that he got AI psychosis because he started using like AI in a way that, like talking to AI about things he was going through. And he said it started to, drive him crazy. And I'm going to put that in the description, but it's definitely in community under post. So I hope you guys get a chance to scroll through the community section posts so that you can see that there are a lot of people talking about things and a lot of, great news reports out there. So when we're talking about this using AI, this system that they're creating, and how to me, it's not just using AI to create the system, but them being upset that now I'm in AI, first as part of the book, but I think also because I've been discussing the book. It goes to show that if you're the people doing this and you're using this to create AI, and AI is making anyone go through any form of psychosis, and you have a system that I'm saying definitely causes psychosis, then we have an issue. So as much as they're trying to say they're correcting things, they aren't. They're causing the problem. They're trying to say, this, you misspoke and here it is. If they're talking in the background, keeping me awake, playing all these sounds and noises, changing things afterwards, which goes back to what I'm saying when I talked about earlier, that over time your memory changes. But if you keep telling the same story over and over and over again, the story changes. So I can point out in real time, this is what just happened. I've made a video of it. I could go back and find their own words to me. I can prove that that wasn't an issue. They said something was an error just a few minutes ago. I don't know if that's referring to me or to each other. They said, doesn't it seem like we're all ganging up on you? No, it doesn't. That was the question they just asked me. Does it seem like we're all ganging up on you? No, it doesn't. They said, could you ask her to explain why not? This is what this would be. This is like a group of people who have no lives and they want to hang out with someone. I don't want to hang out with them. I don't want them. They said, Shamega, try not to sound so aggressive. Is it because I sound like an angry black lady? Is this the angry black lady thing? That you are weirdos who keep trying to hang out with me, include me in fantasy relationships that I don't want to be a part of? Is that make me an angry black woman? Okay, guys, so you can see where this would be going. I'm not going to spend any more time with them. They said, Shamega, that's why we told you to just leave. Leave my home for over 28 years since you guys came? Is that what we're going to now do? Okay, let me get out of here. To me, this isn't getting good. It's going downhill like every time they're in my life. So let me just leave. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you for everyone who's going through this recording. I go through so many people's V2K videos. There's so many out there. I try to listen to them. Thank you guys who talked about all sorts of things about this, your experiences, how, this affected you. Thank you for every news reporter who, even if you didn't believe it, wrote an article. You don't know how much that helps. I'm trying to contact the media. Even if the media doesn't believe this, please report it. Please, you don't understand that even having another victim explain their experience helps. They said earlier today that the news media is getting like more there are more news reports, and it's helping the news media. I don't think people understand when I'm talking. They said years ago I said something about the news media. Clearly didn't understand what I said because they're misquoting me. But I have so much proof that what I'm talking about. When something is going on with someone and there is a news report about it, news reporters must, because they're journalists, report things a certain way. It's an article that's usually so good in terms of being something that you can go back to a reference. I think they just said reference to. You can refer back to it later on. That every single article helps. Every news report helps. It's like doing something that in the future, if someone has a question, they can refer back to. When this was happening and I started finding news reports, it finally made more sense to me. They're trying right now to talk about two news reports that, again, this is not in any way pointing out inconsistencies. This is what I'm saying. They jump. It's like it's run by someone mentally ill. They jump from one thing to another. If they could just, it's illegal anyway, but if they could just focus on one thing, it would not be as crazy making to them. To them. It'll always be crazy making to me. But to them, they just jump from one thing to another as though they would. This to me is turning. They said a party line at one point. No, it's something worse. It's stalking. They said stalking would be a lighter charge, not when it's electronic harassment and stalking, surveillance and stalking. This is like people who are desperate for relationships, finding people that they want to be in a relationship who don't want to be in a relationship. And if you say no, they're going to make you look mentally ill. That's what this is. Thank you guys for watching the videos, listening to this since it's just audio. Any news report, any information, commenting, it makes a difference. Thank you.